Hello everybody, Brad here today. Welcome to Project Hospital. Welcome to a brand new series here on the channel. I'm really excited for this one. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a small hospital. So what we're going to be doing is building what's called a community hospital. Now I'm originally from Devon, North Devon in the UK, and it's very common there to have smaller community hospitals, and that's what we're going to be trying to replicate here in this series. Now thank you so much to James. James has helped me out so much with changing some of the base game files. So basically we've changed the files, departments and insurance to make sure that we're not going to be getting too many people coming into this hospital, so it's not going to get too busy. So we should see patient numbers go down drastically. The insurance that we have will reflect that, so we're not going to be getting any crazy grants for having, you know, like treating 100 patients. That's just not going to happen. Okay, we're going to start out by building the emergency department. We'll get a trickle of patients coming into that department and we'll try and treat them. Now we are going to be getting quite a few patients, guys, that we are not going to be able to treat. There's going to be no surgeries here, no trauma centre, so we are possibly going to get people that we cannot treat. So we might get some people down here in the red, in the untreated patients today, because we might have to send these patients to another hospital. But that reflects a real life scenario. In these hospitals, there is no way that you'd be able to treat every single case in that community. Okay, for example, let's just put out an example. Okay, so we're at South Molton Community Hospital, which is actually where I done my work experience when I was 15, 16. So if you had a farm accident, yeah, someone, I don't know, got ran over by a tractor, there's no way, if that's serious enough, that could be treated at that South Molton hospital. They would need to be transferred to a bigger hospital that has a lot more infrastructure, a lot more facilities. So basically that's what we're going for today. We're going to go for a really small hospital, focusing a lot more on treating patients rather than solely just on the building. Okay, I really hope you're going to enjoy this. I'm really excited for this. So I've kind of got this all set out here. I quite like the road layout that I've done. I kind of just had a bit of a play around with it, but I quite like how that turned out. So it's got 2 floors. I can't see it being much more than that. We might go 1 floor up, so to have 3 floors maybe. This here is likely going to be like a sexual health clinic, so like a separate building. This is going to focus on a specialised department that I'm not going to give away yet, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's a few years ago now, but I'm pretty sure South Molton specialised in kind of like a certain branch of medicine. So we're going to be doing that over here, and then this building is going to be focused, you know, on emergency, and then more about like the clinics. So before we get into building, let's speak a little bit and give you a little bit more information about what a community hospital actually is. Okay, so what is a community hospital? So a community hospital, also known as a cottage hospital, is normally a small hospital that's based in a rural location, but not always, that serves its local community. So in this case, I'm going to be speaking from experience living in Devon, where we have many of these community hospitals dotted around the county. There is the county there in the UK, in the bottom left-hand corner of the United Kingdom. So not all community hospitals are based in a rural countryside location. For example, this one here is based in Greenwich in London. So these community hospitals are based all around the country, and what they provide as a service depends completely on which hospital we're talking about. They can vary greatly. I done my work experience at South Molton Community Hospital in North Devon, and at that hospital they had lots of community beds, so beds available for that local community to come in and, you know, have really like close supervision from nurses and doctors if they're a bit frail. They also provided day clinics, so those were largely based around, you know, cardiology or respiratory issues, where they could come in and have that one-to-one interaction with a doctor and nurses. Some community hospitals actually also have maternity wards, albeit quite small. Some community hospitals actually might have minor injury units, some might have x-ray departments and even laboratories. So it completely depends which community hospital we're talking about. They can vary greatly. So this is a map of North Devon here. Now you can see there that Barnstable has a yellow star next to it. That is the site of the North Devon District Hospital. So that is a large hospital, lots and lots of beds. Now what happens is patients come from all around this county, so from Holsworthy, Torrington, Bideford, South Molton and Ilfracombe into the Barnstable Hospital. So they come from those local community hospitals then into a larger hospital if the community hospital can't provide the treatment or diagnostic service. So where possible, patients are seen at a community hospital and then transferred to a district larger hospital if needs be. So this is North Devon District Hospital. This is actually where I was born. Ah, little baby Rad. So this hospital actually has over 3,000 members of staff. It is a big hospital. For Devon, for a rural countryside location, this is a big hospital. And then if we compare that to somewhere like Bideford, which is roughly 9 miles away, not very far away, this is a much smaller community hospital. So this hospital caters for the community, whereas the North Devon District Hospital can cater for the whole North Devon district. Okay, so I hope that's really helped, guys, giving you a little bit more information about what a community hospital is. So what we're going to do now is jump right into the building. Now this is going to be time-lapse. That's going to give me the time to properly plan out, think about how I want rooms to be arranged, items to be arranged, because we're going to go and try and be as realistic as possible. Obviously in the confines of the games, as possible, we will be trying to build realistically. So let's get out the reception area, waiting rooms and doctor's offices, all that kind of stuff for emergency on this ground floor here in this building just here. Enjoy the time lapse. Hello again everybody, I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. Let me know what you think of the layout. I'm pretty happy with it. I tried to go with something that was quite tight. I didn't want anything to have like massive open space. Obviously this is probably the most open space. This is all going to be filled in. Camera. So this is probably like the biggest space we're going to have, and then I don't know if this was a little bit too tight down here in this corridor, 3 tiles wide, but overall I like the layout. So what we need to do now is get in our staff and then also see if we can treat a few patients. So staff, let's have a look here. Look, receptionist, we're not going to go with night. I don't think we'll have much for the night shift at all actually. The only thing we might have is for our specialised department that we're going to have over in this building. We would need some staff just to look over the ward at night, but I wouldn't say we'd have kind of like this clinic open at night, because that I personally don't think that's realistic. I don't believe these type of hospitals have night clinics. I don't believe so. Right, so I do just need to make that a staff toilet, even though the patients can't get to it anyway, but just to be sure. Right, so some receptionists for the day. Now we do have to be careful of money. We haven't got all of the money in the world, and we do actually have a $20,000 loan, because you know this building, it's quite rare that you have no financial restrictions, so I didn't want to make the game too easy. So we do have a $20,000 loan, so that's $200 per day of interest. Now what I've also done, and like I said earlier, thanks so much to James for all of his help, is we actually adjusted the insurance file to make sure that when we complete objectives in the game, insurance objectives, we're not getting too much back in the way of, you know, monetary rewards, because you know something like $50,000 for getting in a clinic. So this series is going to be tough, guys. I do think this is going to be quite tough actually, because we're not going to have patients that are going through surgery, which normally gives you quite a nice financial reward at the end of it. So anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. So that's kind of all the money stuff. Right, so receptionists. Now, I don't think we're going to be having the kind of money where we can do stuff like revealing hidden perks and finding new candidates, not until this balance is looking a little bit healthier. So, let's have a look here. Now, Kate looks pretty good. She's got quite a high wage, but she's just got resistance. Now, I think because we're only going to get one receptionist, I think, for the start, let's go with Kate, I think, because she looks pretty good. Not too expensive. Like we could go for Susan, but who knows what that trait is, guys? Who knows what it is? So let's go with Kate. So there we go. That's our receptionist, Kate there. There we go. Look. Clinic opening now to start. Right, before I get the doctors, let's just have a little bit more of an in-depth review of what I've done here. So over here we have some restrooms. So I've done female and male restrooms. I know I've kind of gone with the whole quite horrible stereotypical pink for ladies, blue for men. I don't really like that either. It kind of annoys me when people dress their babies up in blue and pink. I'm the sort of person that would dress a boy up in pink just to annoy people. But I just, you know, in a realistic scenario, it's unlikely that you'd have unisex toilets, especially in these kind of buildings. You know, these buildings were designed quite a long time ago. So I've gone with a pink and blue just so we can distinguish that. In a realistic world, you'd have female and male toilets, but obviously in the game we can't do that yet. I think they might bring that in, you know. I just have this funny feeling that they might bring that in. Over here we have this corridor that's going to be going over into like a day clinic area where we're going to be having cardiology clinic, a respiratory clinic, that kind of thing over here. So we've got a couple of wheelchairs, some magazines, a little seating area with a coffee machine, just so people can kind of like chill out here if they need to. There's an elevator that will obviously be going up to the upper floors. We have our nice little reception area here. I was actually pretty happy with how this turned out. I'm pretty happy with it. I've been putting disinfectant everywhere, and you'll see lots of COVID posters. Now that word is actually starting to annoy me now, because obviously we're just hearing it all the time, guys, aren't we? Again, just for realism, I wanted to get out, you know, lots of posters about, you know, like washing your hands, trying to keep hygiene up as much as possible. You know, we don't want any superbugs to be ramping through this hospital. So I was pretty happy with how the reception turned out. Actually, I was pretty happy with this. And then kind of behind it, we have like the common room. So you walk in here and then out to reception if you're on reception. Not sure if we want like a division here. I actually think that I do. Looking at it now, I think I do want some kind of division. and then we'll pop a door in here. I think that will just look a little bit nicer actually. Let's put a door with a window. There we go. Okay, lovely. So that's the reception and common room area. At the back here we have a staff loo and a cleaning closet, and then obviously we have our doctor's offices here. Now I segregated this kind of like exam bed even area here, just so you know you have a little bit of privacy. Obviously it's away from the window, and then you can draw that curtain across, because most doors have windows in them. I believe that's kind of, you know, to see if the room's occupied, and it's probably also something to do with making sure that you're not going to open the door onto someone. So obviously the window lets you know if someone's coming in or out of that room. So I was quite happy with how those turn out, and then that's it really. So it's very simple, not too, you know, crazy or extravagant at all really. It's very simple. So let's get in some doctors and some janitors. Let's do janitors first actually. Let's go over here. If you want to be named as someone in this series, just let me know. All you've got to do is comment down below and say, can I please be janitor? Can I please be a doctor? Okay. So it looks like we are going to have to go a little bit crazy here, look, because Barbara, Daniel and Judy have all got the dreaded snail. Now that is not a good thing for a janitor. You don't want your janitors just strolling around the place. We're going to have to go with Daniel. He moves fast. We're not sure what that other one is. We just have to keep our fingers crossed that's not a bad one. So Daniel, you're going to come in, and then we'll get... Yeah, let's get one more janitor. Oh God, they're all bloody snails, guys. They're all bloody snails. How much is that? I can't afford that. I can't afford $2.5 grand just to get a new janitor. Let's go with Sarah. She's cheap. She's cheerful. We know that she's just slow. So she hasn't got anything else here. It's just that she's slow. Hopefully Daniel can do most of the work. We might have to get in a night janitor, which is probably quite realistic for these hospitals actually. You probably would have someone, you know, like some kind of like on-site presence at night, just to make sure that, you know, you haven't got anyone like breaking in, or you haven't got anything happening in these areas, you know, and probably a little bit of cleaning as well, especially after the clinics have closed. So we'll see how that goes, but we might need to get someone in here at night. What we could do though is we could instantly fire her, because I imagine it says refresh the list. We've got James here, but I don't think that's realistic to get someone in and then fire them just straight away. Don't know, it is 2020, I suppose. It is 2020. Right, so doctors. I think we're going to go for 2 at first. We'll see how 2 goes, because this is going to, you know, these staff are expensive staff to fund. So let's go with, or do you just go with 1? No, let's go with 2. Let's go with 2 and we'll see how that goes. Now, here we could get someone like Nancy. Nancy looks pretty good. I mean, her diagnosis is not great at all, but she's fairly cheap. I mean, Barbara's got 0 diagnosis and she moves slow. How expensive are the advanced diagnosis doctors? Bloody expensive is the answer there. Okay, so we could get in Nancy. We're not sure what this perk is. Look how expensive some of these are. Now I just don't think we have the money for this. But is it worth for going someone like Carol? She's not that much more expensive than Nancy, but she has quite a lot more skill in general medicine and diagnosis. I'm tempted to go for Carol. Unfortunately, she comes in late, which is going to be annoying. And she does have one other perk there that we don't know. But we could get in Nancy, and Nancy could have something like a long commute. You just don't know, do you? So I think the best decision here, I'm not sure, is going to be going for Carol. So let's go for Carol. And then one more here. We've actually just got in John, okay. But we're going to be paying for this anesthesiology skill, which we just don't need actually at all in this hospital. So let's go for Nancy. We're going to have to go for Nancy, see how that goes. Hopefully it's all going to be okay. I'm not too worried about that. So if we go to our expenses, how much is this going to cost us every day? It should start telling us here. Or we might have to do 1 day just to see what our wages here are for the clinic. We can do a quick tot up and do some quick maths, but I can't be bothered to do that. Right, so you can see here that our insurance objectives has changed. I think this one here, I don't remember, please correct me guys if I am wrong. Is this around like treat 5 patients per day for the first task? Or it might actually be 1. but I have changed the reward grant, so we are only going to get $10,000 to do that. And then as soon as we treat 3 patients, we can start getting in the uninsured patients. And where are you going? Going home. Why are you going home? You're both here in the day. Daniel! I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so we've got no janitors here at the moment. Great. This looks like our first patient. So hopefully we'll get her done. And then that will be our first insurance objective done. And then after, so kind of our first objective here is going to be getting in an X-ray room, okay? So that's going to be our only radiology here is going to be X-ray. And we're also going to have a hematology lab because a few community hospitals, I don't think South Molton does, but I know that a few community hospitals do have like very basic pathology. And normally the very basic pathology centres around blood tests, simple blood tests. So we are going to be getting a small haematology lab. And I also, you probably have noticed that the doctor here had to come out to get this patient. Let's just pause. I haven't got in the patient screens and key machines because again, I'm not sure. I'm lucky enough that I don't have to go to a doctor's or a hospital very often at all. I can't remember the last time I did go actually. It's been literally probably about 5 years since I've been. Luckily, touch wood guys, but again I think queue machines are just not really realistic. You normally get some kind of staff member, if it's a doctor or a receptionist, telling you to go into a room, don't you? Right, so let's have a look at this lady here. So we've got Brooke White. So obviously we're not sure yet what's wrong with her. She's going to go in, she's going to have a simple interview with Nancy here, her doctor, and that should let us know maybe a couple of the symptoms, hopefully. Here we go. So the only thing we know is that she's got some kind of numbness in her fingers. So what I'm also going to do, just straight off the bat, is do a physical exam, because I imagine we've got at least a couple of emergency ones here. So it's either golfer's elbow, I know the feeling, Brooke, or Raynaud's syndrome, because it can't be any of these. Okay, so let's do that physical exam and then we'll see what other symptoms Brooke is coming in with. She has got 3 hidden symptoms, so that might suggest that it's Raynaud's syndrome because there are 3 other symptoms here that we don't know yet. But let's do this physical exam. I'll speed up time a tad. I'd love it if they'd include in the future an animation to like draw that curtain. How cool would that look? That would look really cool, wouldn't it? Right, Brooke, have we got any idea? It's not done yet, still in progress because it's flashing orange for us. Right, that's just been done, and yep, it's confirmed Raynaud's syndrome. We've found every symptom here, which is great. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to prescribe her the vasodilators. Can we actually prescribe that? Oh, I didn't know we could do that. I know the main one is vasodilators, but let's also give her some kind of analgesic to help with the pain, and then Brooke can go home. Now, I'm unsure of a pharmacy. I've kind of been ticking over and thinking if we want to get a pharmacy in. I don't know of any community hospital that has a pharmacy, but again, I do not classify myself as an expert, so I'm not sure on that. But we might get in a pharmacy in the future. I'm not too sure. So you haven't got to have it. Doctors can prescribe this kind of in the doctor's office. So that's our first patient treated, guys. Woohoo! So whilst we wait for our next patient, I think this area here is going to be reserved for some kind of day clinic area. So somewhere, probably 1 room for each department. And we'd probably have here things like a ear, nose, throat clinic, cardiology, and general surgery. Those would kind of be the minimums, so 3, 1 room each maybe. I think we have enough room there, 1 room each for those clinics. We've got another patient coming in just here. So we'll have a look at him in a moment. And then kind of like the lab, the haematology lab and x-ray would kind of be over here, I think. Kind of like out the way. I would prefer to have x-ray downstairs. Because, you normally have those kind of rooms in the downstairs because they're having such bulky, heavy equipment that, it's quite unrealistic to think of those being on an upstairs level. Because trying to get an MRI machine, I imagine, onto a floor which isn't on the ground is probably quite a tricky thing. It's probably just as tricky as trying to get a sofa in. Bloody hate trying to get a sofa in. Right, anyway, Let's have a look at James. So James again is coming in. He actually had triage and he's now going to have an interview. And again, I always just like to queue up that physical exam just as the really basic, necessary examinations to do, those really basic things. So again, it's whittled stuff down. He's actually now just going to have his physical exam. I imagine, yeah, it's a chest contusion, so we don't even have to do that because here we haven't got ENT, so it can't be trauma or laceration to his larynx, and it can't be broken ribs because we haven't got orthopedy. So you must have a bruised chest, which is unfortunate. So I am sorry about that, Mr. James. So let's go chest contusion here. We know that's that. And we need to give him a numbing ointment. But, if we're thinking about being a realistic doctor, you wouldn't get someone coming in, just give them numbing ointment and then being like, see you later, mate. Cheers then. You probably would also prescribe something to help with his breathing, like some bronchodilators to open up his airways. And then an ice wrap here. I've actually bruised my ribs before. I was jumping on a trampoline and I fell over and I fell onto the springs. This is quite a digression. And I fell onto the springs and I bruised my ribs. Oh my lord, it does really, I know this is chest, but it's similar kind of area. It does really bloody hurt. I don't know if you guys have ever had bruised ribs or a bruised chest, but it's really sore. I actually tried to play golf after. Didn't go well. Can confirm, did not go well. Right, so let's give this guy some bits here. I'm actually tempted to get rid of this, because he's got some more symptoms, hasn't he? I've completely forgot about those. Interview, physical exam, x-ray chest. Oh, okay, so we can't do an x-ray to his chest. So I don't think we are going to be able to see any of those other symptoms, unfortunately. But let's just make sure that he's at least getting those other treatments for Mr. Harris here. So we're earning a little bit of money. So, these patients, you can see James there, that he's going to be giving us, around $320, which isn't too bad. That could be worse. Let's also give him some analgesics. Oh, we are only missing one. It's probably that one that we couldn't do due to the x-ray, I imagine. The thorax contusion there. So a bruised thorax. Okay. Any broken bones in a patient? Okay. Yeah. So he'll be getting all of his little things there. We could do chest, but I don't think chest would give us anything, would it? No. So that'll be James treated and then hopefully out the door. That'll be our second patient treated. So then we're actually only one away from doing this. If we treat 3 patients, we can open up our hospital to the uninsured. I'd quite like to do that in this first episode because I think that's quite a big milestone. So let's speed up time. I mean, this is now realistic of the UK because it's raining, and it always rains here in the UK, especially at the moment. It's been really wet lately. So let's wait for our, hopefully, final patient of this episode to come. Now, hopefully you are noticing that, guys, the patient intake, is really reduced. And I know that might not make it the most thrilling series in the world. I imagine, quite a few of you, really like to see, helicopters coming in, loads of, trauma, blood everywhere. I know that, but I'm just trying to do something a little bit different, and I'm really excited for this. I really am. I think this could be quite an interesting series to do, and I really hope that helps with realism, stuff like that. It feels a lot more realistic because in the normal game by now, we'd probably already have a radiology clinic, I imagine. So I hope this is a little bit more realistic. So who have we got here? We've got Mr. Garcia. I love your haircut, Frank. So he's coming with a bit of depression, actually. That's really sad, Frank. Well, I hope you get better soon. So let's get that interview and that physical exam already queued up to help with whoever is going to be his assigned doctor, which is Carol. So let's zoom in a tad. Here we go. Right, so let's speed up time just so he gets into that room, has his interview, has his physical examination. Oh, well, that was quick. Let's not even bother. Oh, actually, could we have some other things here? Right, yeah, we're going to want to do these. So physical exam, that was oral cavity. Yeah, okay. Physical exam, interview, speech, evaluation. Right, so let's queue up all of those that we can do. We know it's going to be chronic fatigue syndrome. So we're just going to see if we can find any more existing symptoms here for Frank. And then we'll start giving him all of these kind of treatments here. We'll give him all of these treatments. So we've got 3 hidden symptoms. So this speech listening and evaluation will hopefully find the last. Is the evaluation going to find the last 2? No. So there is 1 hidden symptom, which isn't too bad. Let's give them all of those treatments. So it could be something like a sore throat or trouble rising. So when we think about the big picture, it could be a lot worse. They're missing one of those symptoms. Right. Awesome. So that's going to be Frank out the door and treated. There we go. So we can now contact our other insurance company. So let's go down here. We're going to open that up. We treat 2 patients. We get another $10,000. Now, X-ray. That is what we're going to want to do next. Is open up our Radiology Clinic. So I'm just going to go into the prefab just to have a look to give some kind of idea of how much it's going to cost. $23,500. Okay, that's not too bad actually. I mean, it's a massive room as well. Our room is not going to be that big, I don't think. But so we would have enough money. And then if we open up our Radiology Clinic, we are going to be getting $20,000 as well. So we could get $30,000 quite soon actually. That's not too bad. Okay, well that's food for thought. Guys, I am going to end this episode here for today. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking the video, subscribing if you haven't already. Please leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the first episode in our brand new series here building a community hospital. Guys, please look after yourselves, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next episode. See you later! Thank you very much for watching the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel down below if you haven't done so already. And please feel free to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Have a great day. See you later.